Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Adriana Patricia binti Karubarin and I will be starting the presentation with the definition of transnational audit. Transnational audit refers to an audit of financial statements that are or may be relied on outside of the audited entity's home jurisdiction for purposes of significant lending, investment, or regulatory decisions. Transnational audit will include audits of all financial statements of corporation with listed equity or debt and other public interest entities that draw particular public attention due to their size, products, or services provided. As stated in ISA 600, the definition of a transnational audit shall be applied to the whole group audit, including all the components whose financial information is included in the group financial statements. In some circumstances, the audit of individual component of a group may be a transnational audit without the group audit being transnational if the component meets specific criteria. These criteria we will discuss more thoroughly in the presentation. Next, based on the Transnational Auditors Committee TAC guidance statement emphasizes that organizations that should consider transnational audits included government-owned entities, banks and other financial institutions, and entities with significant foreign subsidiaries, foreign shareholders, or foreign creditors. Let us move on. There are 4 aspects to be considered in transnational audit. The first one is value and cultural differences. As accounting and auditing practices appear to be increasingly standardized and universal around the world, the same result will be expected when the audited financial statements are reviewed by auditor teams. Nonetheless, cultural values have an impact on accounting and auditing practices. Primarily, the auditor's judgment in performing analytical procedures throughout the audit planning phase is influenced by diverse cultures in different countries. Due to numerous uncertainties, auditors must use professional judgment rather than rules in formulating account balance expectations throughout the analytical procedures. The second one is component auditors. The quality of group audits would differ, particularly those that span borders, since component auditors perform a significant part of the audit. Component auditors can be a part of the principal's audit firm network or unaffiliated with the principal auditor. In accordance to ISA 600, an auditor cannot always depend on the work of a component auditor just because the two are a part of the same audit firm network. And the third one is scope differences in jurisdiction. Investors and other users of financial reports may be affected by a country's audit of its financial statements due to differences in the combination of formal and informal institutional features that exist in each country. The scope of audits varies per country because they adhere to the requirements of legislation, regulations, or appropriate professional organizations. As a result of the auditors' work in distinct areas of concern in their respective nations, inconsistent audits results should be anticipated in response to this concern. And the last aspect to be considered in transnational audit is reporting framework. Information must be internationally comparable in today's interconnected world. The information provided in the annual financial statements is relied on by external users, especially by overseas potential investors. The format and substance of the financial statements in the different countries are still governed by the accounting laws of their respective nations. Based on this, there are some differences, such as how lease assets are shown or how changes in own production are shown. As a consequence, the comparability of the same situation in different countries may be affected by the use of diverse reporting methods.
Assalamualaikum, I'm Nurul Fatihah binti Kamaruzaman. I will continue on the examples of transnational audit. First and foremost, the audit of an international charity taking donation through various national branches and making grants around the world. This entity is operating across borders. Further, the international structure will create a reasonable expectation that the financial statements could be used outside the charity's home jurisdiction by donors or others for purpose of significant lending, investment, or regulatory decision, and accordingly, the charity's audit is likely to qualify as transnational. Second, the audit of private savings and loan company that only does business in United States. If it can be shown that there are no actual or possible transnational users, this will not be a transnational audit. Due to the nature of the company, it is also unlikely to qualify based on its size or the products or service it offers. Last but not least, the audit of a private company in the United States raising debt finance in Canada. This qualifies as a transnational audit as it is reasonable to expect that the financial statements of the company will be used across national borders in obtaining debt financing. That's all for the examples. Furthermore, I'm Nurul Fatihah will explain the process of transnational audit. The first step is to examine the consolidation schedules with the audited financial statements of each associate and subsidiary. The second step is to check that adjustments made on the consolidation are appropriate and comparable with the previous year. The third step is to check for business combinations. Furthermore, the fourth step is to check for disposals. The fifth step is to consider whether the previous treatment of existing subsidiaries or associates is still correct. Next, the sixth step is to verify the arithmetical accuracy of the consolidation workings. The seventh step is to review the consolidated accounts for compliance with legislation, accounting standards, and other relevant regulations. And lastly, examine the consolidated financial accounts to ensure they accurately reflect the conditions. That's all for the process of transnational audit.
So, these are the associations that are involved in the transnational audit. The first one is Transnational Audit Committee. This association is executive arm of the Forum of Firms and International Federation of Accountants and has an official relationship among them. They are responsible for implementing and advancing the forum objective and operation and encourage forum members to conduct a high-quality international audit. Meanwhile, they had to comply with the international standard as a condition of memberships. For example, providing a forum to discuss the best practices, identify issues and suggested recommendations, identify qualified candidates to serve on the international standard setting board, and lastly, facilitating interaction amongst the transnational firms. The second association is Forum of Firms, FOF, perform transnational audit who are run as independent association, and the main objective of the forum is to promote the consistent and high quality standard of financial reporting and auditing practices worldwide. Forum members must demonstrate their commitment to the application of high quality audit practices worldwide as detailed in the forum's constitution, operation procedures, and also governance arrangement. So the example of membership obligation is to maintaining the quality management standard, conducting to the extent not prohibited by national regulation, having a policies and methodologies for the transnational audit, and lastly agreeing to submit to the Secretary of the Forum and annual report. Last but not least, the International Accounting Education Standard Board (IAESB) was established as independent standard setting body under the auspices of IFAC and subject to the oversight of Public Interest Oversight Board. So the IAESB process in issues in the public interest and on their own authority, standard, practice statement, information papers, and other information document on the pre-qualifications, education, and training of professional accountant on continuing professional education and development for members of the accountancy profession.
Assalamualaikum and hi, I'm Nur Hani and I will explain the features of transnational audit. First feature is regulation and oversight of auditors differs from country to country. Many different bodies oversee and regulate the work of auditors around the world. There are countries where auditors regulate themselves through professional associations, while others take a more legislative approach. This may also have an effect on the quality of audit work in a transnational situation. Next is differences in auditing standards from country to country. International standards on auditing have been approved by many nations, while others still prefer to rely on their own internally produced auditing standards. Additionally, ISA in their modified form are used in other nations. Because of this, the quality of a multinational audit may be compromised because different parts of the group's financial statement will have been audited using different auditing frameworks. Furthermore, Financial Reporting Framework, International Financial Reporting Standards (IFRS) are used by certain countries, while others use their own accounting standards. Adjustment, reconciliation, or restatements are likely to be necessary within a transnational group in order to comply with the requirements of the countries relevant to the group financial statements. Making adjustment can be challenging, necessitating a high level of technical understanding on the part of both the preparer and the auditor. Last but not least, the features of transnational audit is corporate governance, requirements, and consequent control risks. There are fairly prescriptive corporate governance rules in some countries, which the auditor must evaluate as part of the audit process. In this instance, the auditor may be required to perform additional work in addition to local requirements to guarantee group-wide conformity with the requirement of the countries relevant to the financial statements.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nurhani Zabit Hamzah and I will talk about the challenges of transnational audit. First challenge is the structure of engagement. This is happening when the organization has numerous levels of reporting and the statutory audit responsibilities, which may have incurred a lot of issues since there are a number of components and structures that may affect the conduct of group audit. However, if the company has all the documents needed to audit being well prepared and planned, it may reduce the audit risk that may be incurred since the documents needed by the auditor are already prepared by the client. Next is on the cultural and language barrier. It is because when the parent firms need to rely on the details of the subsidiaries' financial statements that the subsidiaries engage with the international business, it may cause the auditors to not understand the language that has been used by the subsidiaries on the financial statement. It also can be hard for the auditors to comprehend and analyze the auditor reports when it is in a different language. The use of translators also sometimes will be difficult to translate the financial statement because they need to have knowledge on the accounting industry, commercial operations, cultural norms, and legal systems of the country being audited, which means they cannot make their own assumptions regarding the reports. Last challenge is on the client characteristics. It is happening when the numbers of clients increases and the task also has become more complicated. It means when there are a lot of audits that need to be done, it may cause the ability of the auditors to spot the errors that occurred to decrease. That is why, Assalamualaikum, my name is Nurhani Zabit Hamzah and I will talk about the challenges of transnational audit. First challenge is the structure of engagement. Next we will talk about the issues that the transnational audit face. The first is on the current requirements of organizations on the international reporting standards. It is because there is a difficulty to transnational, non-governmental groups that may affect the practice in various countries. For example, there are countries that do not have any general requirements that they need to publicly publish any form of general purpose financial reporting. This usually happens when there is no formal charity regulation. It is also difficult when there are nations that have no restrictions on the release of the financial reports, except the legal entity framework that may cause organizations to publish financial statements that are the same with the for-profit companies, but it may have a smaller disclosure, especially the smaller entities. Hence, this may cause NPOs to not follow laws and filing documents late, which will also take their time in following the financial reporting regulations. Other than that is the issue of the unaffiliated auditors in cross-border group audits. According to Graham Sterling, he stated that a group audit being conducted should be in accordance with the professional standards, applicable legal and regulatory requirements. It means that even though there are foreign auditors involved, the group auditors are still responsible in the group audit process, such as preparation, fieldwork, and concluding procedures of the audit report. There is also hidden costs related to the unaffiliated auditors, such as on the linguistic barriers to access the local auditors' work. It may cause the group auditors to re-audit the reports of both situations, along with the strict requirements of IS AUD689, which also may cause the audit fees to increase and the reports to be released late. There are also problems that may occur when conducting global assessment, such as restrictions toward assessing the work papers. Other than it also may cost time-consuming and costly when the auditors need to pay for travel expenses when there is audit evidence that is not in a format that can be...
To the recommendation for issues on transnational audit. As for current requirements of organizations on the international reporting standards, one way to accomplish this is to look at both broad accounting principles and detailed laws and regulations. This is due to the fact that the same rules and regulations can be utilized to ensure the accountancy scope is set correctly wherever it may be applied, making it imperative that standard accounting principles be applied on a worldwide scale. A recommendation for unaffiliated auditors in cross-border group audits are assigning an auditor with global and local specialty can help mitigate the risk associated with using unaffiliated auditors for international group audits, and make any high-quality program whose purpose is to share internationally that doesn't have the auditor to waste the time and money traveling around the world to transnational audit, so that there will be no need for an auditor to physically travel to the area in question in order to complete a transnational audit, as this software will facilitate the collection and analysis of data from wherever it may be stored. As a conclusion, a transnational audit is a financial statement audit that employs 2 or more languages in the auditing process to ensure that it's up to date with the market. Due to differences in scale, value, and culture, conducting a transnational audit requires careful planning and execution. The Forum of Firms, the Transnational Audit Committee, and the International Accounting Education Standard Boards are all associations that collaborate and play a part in ensuring that transnational audits are carried out correctly. Auditors need to brush up on their expertise in various auditing techniques. That's all from our group. Thank you.